At ang sino man magsabi na walang paki ang Senado sa usaping ito, isa lang ang masasabi ko, walang gamot sa kakapalan ng mukha mo.
Napanood nyo yung start ng hearing, pinapakita lahat si Speaker. No? Alam mo, si Speaker palagi pinapakita, yung PI, pero sa totoo lang po, no? Kami pong mga congressmen, congresspersons, during break, halos wala po dito sa bansa ang mga congressmen.
Kahit kailan po hindi natin magagampanan, hindi natin magagamit yung isang modality to change the Constitution, which is the Constituent Assembly. Every time an invitation is issued to the Senate by the House, ang answer po, dead ma. Dead ma.
Kami po ay pro-chatcha rin, lalong-lalo na pagdating sa economic reforms.
I filed last week RBH 6, which is to discuss economic provisions of the Constitution. So
Only to change your mind 3 days later, Mr. Senate President.
So now I think it's really up to the Senate to prove to the Filipino people that they are sincere and consistent with their position.
It would be better if the Senate focuses its time and attention to RBH 6, if they're really intent and sincere to push for constitutional reforms.
Yes, it's a circus. I hope it's not a political strategy that they're employing to delay discussion on charter amendments, coming up with all sorts of reasons again.
Oh, yun naman pala eh, di ba? May RBH 6 ang Senado according kay hindi tuloy Speaker tuloy, Senate President Zubiri, right? At sinasabi din diyan, no, kasi nagsalubong yan kahapon eh, yung hearing regarding dun sa PI na natutunto naman natin kung ano yung pinaguhugutan ni Senator Amy regarding sa sinasabi nilang fake People's Initiative, no? Kailangan kasi matumbok nila na ang gumalaw dyan ay si Speaker Romualdez, right? So, on that point is nililinaw ng Kongreso na, ayan na, pinahinto na ng Presidente, nagsabi na ang COMELEC. So, mag-focus na. Meron pala kayong RBH 6, di ba? Susundan namin yun ang pattern. Dito lang tayo sa pagkasundan natin, upuan natin through CONAS na sinasabi nga ni Congressman Marcoleta. But most of the time, sabi niya, sa tagal ng pagre-reach out ng lower house is puro deadma. Hindi ko lang pala naisama yung isang nabanggit ni Congressman Geraldine regarding sa ampiling yata ng mga senador. Para bang mas mataas sila kumpara sa Congress dahil nga distrito lang sila at sila ay nasyonal. Hindi mas direct sa mamamayan ang Kongreso kung sa power lang kasi mas madali nilang ma-reach out ang mga mamamayan comparably sa Congress. Sa dami ng tinapos na batas ng Kongreso na 318 sila, mas mabilis sila nagkakasundo-sundo. Sa Senado, tapos na ba yung 20 agenda ng Pangulo? Di pa, nga. 24 lang kayo, di ba? Masyado kasing pataasan ng ere pag mga senador na nangyayari. No. So dito, malilinawan natin yung approach ng Senado, yung sinasabi ng Kongreso, na gamitin natin yung version ninyo. Upuan natin. Ipakita ninyo kung ano ba talaga yung ninanais ninyo para sa mamamayan. Hindi yung another circus na naman. Kaya nga madalas natin pinupuna yung mga hearing sa Senado, di ba? In aid of legislation daw, ang nagiging landing circus in aid of ban-aid at mga drama, etc. at yung mga pag-grandstanding lang. Results? We are not seeing too much results sa mga nangyayari na hearing aid of ban-aid ng Senate, right? So if they are really focused regarding on the same agenda, pinahinto na yan, tapos na yan, so be it, move it. Kung talagang ang tinatarget natin ay yung kapakanan ng sambayanan. To simplify things, matagal na pinag-uusapan yan. But ano ba kinatatakot? Yung mawalan sila ng power? Kung tututukan nyo sinasabi na yun lang, dun lang, dito lang tayo at nakipag-ayon. Kaya nga sinasabi, sagutin nyo yung invitasyon ng lower house para mapag-usapan ninyo yan, katulad ng hiniling ng presidente nung may kinausap ang Speaker of the House, Speaker Martin at ang Senate President si Zubirin, at sinabi ni Zubirin na nag-meeting sila. Diba? To simplify things, why making things in a circus, round and round you go, parang kanta ng Espando Ballet. Diba? So panoorin natin itong anggulo na to, at ikaw na rin naman na makakapag-decide whose side yun talagang sasabihin na nakapokus sila to change para masundan yung ninanais ng ating Pangulo, especially dito sa program regarding sa tinatawag na economic provision. Ang daming naging ugong na mahalin natin ang Constitution. Diba? Nangangaw-ngaw pa si Digong na anomaly sa Constitution. Pero isa siya, sa ang tinatarget niya pa is mapalitan ng Constitution ng federalism. Di wow. Right? Ngayong gagalawin regarding do sa punto na yun na napaka-importante, ang daming ngaw-ngaw. Yung kay Senator Amy naman, it's so obvious lang naman na dahil nga, hindi natin alam ano pinagmumulan. Baka ang gusto niya, dapat siya yung mangunguna dahil nga do sa kanyang komite, tapos siya yung maglalatag. Then at the end of the day, baka ninanais niya na siya yung maging Prime Minister. Tapos para bang feeling niya inaagawan siya ng candy ni Speaker Romualdez, kaya ayun, nauwi sa pagiging palengkera at circus ang nangyari diyan sa hearing, just to point out na ikaw yun. Stop the bullshit and let's start talking about things na para sa kabutihan ng mamamayan. Kung sinasabi ng Senado na ganun din yung kanilang version at umaayon ng Kongreso, put the con-as on the table para hindi naguguluhan at magawa nyo yung trabaho nyo. Hindi namin kayo binoto para manood kami ng circus nyo. Okay? So, tara na. Pero bagong lahat, sabi nga, kung bago ka sa channel ko na to, please don't forget to click like, leave your comments, subscribe, and don't forget to hit that notification bell and click all para lagi kang updated sa aking mga bagong uploads at makajoin ka sa ating mga live. Himayin at balitaktakan, and please, share so we can spread the love and the knowledge. Okay? So, introhan ulit natin para bago natin pasukin yung sagutan ng Congress at ng Senate. Okay?
Nais ko lang sabihin na kung minsan may mga sakit na kapag ginamot at biglang nawala ang sintomas, akala natin wala na. Akala natin magaling na yung tao. Akala natin napuksa na natin ang sakit. Kaya ihihinto natin yung gamot. Hanggang isang araw, lilitaw ulit ang sakit. Isa na siyang mas malakas na karamdaman at bago pa natin maagapan, huli na ang lahat. Ang sabi ng COMELEC, hihinto na sila sa pagtanggap ng pirma hanggat hindi na ay aayos ang ilang teknikalidad. Anong teknikalidad? Yung mga pirmang naipasa na. Paano? Anong bagong pamantayan ang gagawin nila? Kung aatras at nagbago ang isip ng tao, anong gagawin? At marami pang ibang tanong. Maaring masaya tayo ngayon dahil akala natin na pagpahinga na natin ang usapin ng PI nila. Pero hanggat hindi natin ito na ihihimlay, babangon po muli ito upang maging multo. Nakakatakot. Panoorin natin ang isang maikling video ng karamdamang mabilis na ipakalat na sa pamagitan ng pantatanga sa kapwa, paglulustay ng salapi, at pagsisinungaling ng matatakaw na opisyal. Yang sakit na yan ang papatay sa demokrasya. At ang sino man magsabi na walang pake ang Senado sa usaping ito, isa lang ang masasabi ko, walang gamot sa kakapalan ng mukha mo. Panoorin na po natin.
Yung start ng hearing, pinapakita lahat si Speaker. No? Alam mo, si Speaker palagi pinapakita, yung PI, pero sa totoo lang po, no? Kami pong mga congresspersons during break, halos wala po dito sa bansa ang mga congressmen. Ako, like for example, ako, Tumating po ako December 13, ay January 13 na. Pero nalaman ko na lang po yung mga signature na yun. Talagang yung mga taong bayad sila mismo nagpipirma. Number 2, yung may gastos yung gobyerno, wala po. Ako sa distrito ko, missing ko, and other districts, wala pong humingi ng pera, hindi kami nagbigay ng pera. Lalong-lalo na yung pera ng kaban, wala po kami binigay dyan. Kaya ang ano ko po dyan, tigilan na po yan. Ang tanong ko po, ano talaga ang gusto niyo? Mga senador, mahal ko po kayo, kami po mga congressman, kaya we are co-equal. Ano po talaga gusto niyo? Gusto niyo bang ibasa yung RB 6 o hindi? Sabihin niyo lang po yung totoo para alam natin. Yung PI, naka-stop na po. Kaya kung pwede po itigil na natin to, puro yung pamimili ng signature ang pinag-discuss nila sa Senado. At ngayon, nandun si Congressman Marcoleta. Si Congressman Marcoleta in-explain niya. During the time of Belmonte, si Speaker Belmonte, pumasa. During the time of Speaker Lord, pumasa. During the time of Speaker Modest now, pumasa. Ano nangyayari sa Senado? Dinidedma. Yan ang sinabi ni Congressman Marcoleta. Ano ba talaga gusto niyo? Kaya pag si Congressman Marcoleta ay nagsasalita, sinisegue nila yung issue. Dinadala nila sa mga nakatakip na mukha. Doon nila binabato yung tanong. So ako po simple lang, ano ba talaga ang gusto niyo para matapos po tayo?
Actually, just to add to what SDS Dom mentioned, I was following the hearings in the morning, but when they started to control the discussions, when Congressman Dante Marcoleta and former Congressman Pito Garbin were explaining at pinuputol, hindi binibigyan ng pagkakataon makatapos ng kanilang ipinapaliwanag, ay sabi ko, tapos na to. Wala na to, hindi na to para sa katotohanan. Iba lang hinahabol nitong hearing na ito.
Yes, JJ Suarez, napapanood ko nga, paano nakakat. And I really thought there was this thing about interchamber courtesy. Parang joke lang ho to, no? Parang ang interchamber courtesy only exists pag election time at kailangan tayo mga congressional districts. Joke lang po yun, ano ho.
Pero ako nagpapasalamat kay P-Word kada dumating si Congressman Marcoleta doon. At least, nasabi niya yung side ng House of Representatives. Sige, tuloy.
So, ayun po, sana it's time to walk the talk. Yun ang pananawagan namin sa aming mga colleagues sa Senado. Walk the talk. Talagang desidido kayo dun sa constitutional reforms na nakasaad dun sa RBH 6. Trabahuin na natin, mga tayo mag-aksaya ng panahon. Make it happen.
Yes.
May I know from the chair if Attorney Anthony Abad was invited? And is he
Yes.
around? Is he around?
He
Regret.
was invited, but yes,
Yung
regret.
pangalan niya is very, very visible doon sa form, yung petition form na pinapakita nila. So, can we insist on inviting him? O
Yes.
kung ayaw niya mag-atin, ipasampila natin, Madam Chair?
Yes, I think we'll have to consider that. But like you said, Senator Bato, his name is very prominently displayed
Yes,
on the form.
he is the face of this brouhaha. So he should present himself. Otherwise, useless itong magiging inquiry natin kung hindi natin makita yung tao na nandun sa papel, sa form. So can we subpoena this person, Madam Chair?
Madam Chair,
Yes, Congressman Marcoleta, please.
I am happy that Senator Bato raised this question because
That's right.
this is the gist of the entire inquiry. Attorney Anthony A. Abad appears to be the proponent of this initiative. Kagaya po ng sinabi ninyo, Senator, bigyan ng katauhan ang nagpasimuno nitong politicians initiative. Earlier, Madam Chair, the House of Representatives, sila po ang nagiging parang kontrabida dito. I am not representing the House of Representatives today. I was personally invited by the beautiful chairman to appear in this committee. But as a member hindi po nyo may aalis sa akin na medyo magdamdam rin ako sapagkat ang patutsada ay patungkol sa House of Representatives, lalong-lalo na po yung Speaker. I'm not defending the Speaker. If this congressional hearing ultimately found that the Speaker is the one who spearheaded this or funded this initiative, I will probably request him to step down. Pero kung hindi po siya naman, bakit hindi po natin kinonsentrate kay Anthony Abad? Siya po yung bida dito eh. Siya po ang pinakasentro nito. Siya ang nagsasabi dito na pinaliwanag niya sa tao. Nagsabi po ng mga tao, we fully understand the rationale of this proposition. We fully understand the consequences, the effects, and the advantages of this proposition. Gusto nating malaman, talaga bang ginawa niya? Single-handedly, although et al. Ito. But to undertake and to mobilize an undertaking nationwide, to be able to get at least 8 million votes. Kaya po ba ng isang tao? Why don't we begin with Anthony Abad? Who is he? Anthony Abad, based on the Google, Madam Chair, specializes in international trade law. He has been in legal practice for 17 years, and he is at present an independent advisor of the Philippine Senate.
May know, Madam Chair?
Nasa Google po. At
kung sino-
nakalagay din po sa
sino-
Google, he took his oath before the office of Senator Aquilino Pimentel. Nasa Google po. Kaya kailangan po nating makita lahat eh. Sa Google po yan.
I was also shown that picture, pero hindi ko ma-date eh. Mukhang bata pa kami noon eh. So, so must have been years ago. And if we are talking about that, if he is also that Anthony Abad named in the signature sheet, so we're assuming a lot of things. Pero right now, he's not a consultant of my office. But, so pasiputin natin itong Attorney Anthony A. Abad. So,
Triple A.
Yes.
Attorney Anthony A. Abad.
So, para malaman po natin. And if that person seen in the picture taking an oath before me, if he will admit that he is the one, then we're talking about the same person. But he's not a consultant of my office, so I don't think he's also consultant of the Senate. Wala.
Yes.
So maybe that was really part of his biodata. Siguro once upon a time, baka nangyari yun. So, and then, since andito na rin tayo sa topic na ito, the burden is all with Attorney Anthony A. Abad because no other lawyer can file that petition and claim that he or she is under that et al. Hindi po pwede yun. So it's only if the signatures are genuine and real and then freely given, it is only this Attorney Anthony A. Abad whom they have authorized to file the petition. No person, no lawyer can claim to be et al. Kasi hindi siya pinangalanan. So that's my theory. Kaya I agree with Congressman Marcoleta. We really have to identify who is. Pero medyo common name kasi yan. There might be more than one Anthony A. Abad who happens also to be a lawyer. So
Yes,
we need to
Senator,
look for
but
this person.
we can start with him.
Yes,
This is an A4 sheet of paper.
that's right.
10 signatories per sheet. If Anthony Abad is out to get 8 million votes to satisfy the threshold of 8 million, this is the requisite of the People's Initiative, he will need 800,000 pieces of this A sheet. Nakita ko po yung nakakuha ko ng isang ream nito. This paper was imported from Indonesia. This is 70 GSM. I want to ask Anthony Abad, kinuwenta ko po kung magkano siguro about 1,500 something reams. 500,000 pesos, ito pala mong papel. Ipiprint mo ito, palagay mo na lang 2 piso. 800,000 seats, that 1.6 billion plus 500, that's about 2 million. Saan niya kinuha ni Anthony? Maybe we can ask questions directly from this guy. Hindi yung mga nakatakip ang mukha. They're so brave enough not to be able to expose their faces in the public. I'm sorry, Mr. Senate President, but I read your rules of evidence. If the substantive rights of people affected in this hearing, they should also be protected. How can we, for example, confront the accusers if they are all masked? Hindi po ganito. I am not defending the Speaker of the House of Representatives. I will repeat this. If this investigation will find out na siya po ang nagpondo, I will politely ask him to step down. Pero alimbawa po kung ito'y ginawa ni Anthony out of exasperation, out of frustration, because I think for the longest time, the House of Representatives have been inviting the Senate to meet with us on a constituent assembly, and the Senate repeatedly refused us. This is on record, Madam Chair. Kahit kailan po hindi natin magagampanan, hindi natin magagamit yung isang modality to change the Constitution, which is the Constituent Assembly. Every time an invitation is issued to the Senate by the House, ang answer po, dead ma. Dead ma. So kailan po natin gagamitin ang Constituent Assembly? We cannot. It's impossible. Sinasabi ng Senate, well, ang dami pong ano eh. Okay, bago kami makipag-meet sa inyo, you will have to agree that separate voting. Ganun po palagang nangyayari. Ito po ang nangyayari. Ako po matagal na sa Congress. Kung hindi ako nagkakamali, Madam Chair, panahon pa po ni Speaker Belmonte, pinag-iisipan na natin to. Restrictive economic provisions, blah, 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 blah. But we never agree just to meet. Alam po ninyo, Madam Chair, ang pinag-uusap, mag-meet lang po tayo. Tsaka na po natin pag-uusapan kung yung 3/4 is voting separately or not.
Madam Chair.
Pero
Yes,
wala
I
po
think
tayo.
Tama observation ni Attorney Marcoleta, but that cannot be forced. If the Senate does not want to amend the Constitution through a Constituent Assembly, the House cannot force it. Ganun lang po yung as simple as that. So therefore,
No one is forcing, Senator.
precisely. So, there should be no complaint kasi we are two autonomous bodies. Ayaw nung isa makimit sa Constituent Assembly.
The
So,
complaint arises from the fact that you do not want to meet with us. So
Madam
ang
Chair.
question, how can we make use of that particular
Yes,
modality? It is the first modality.
yes, that means that the present composition of both houses cannot avail of that mode kasi ayaw nga nung isang house makimit. So, ano na po yan? That's a political question, gamitin sa issue sa election. Pero our problem with the PI is yun na nga. Therefore, we suspected some politicians to be behind the PI because ang tinutumbok ng People's Initiative is the procedure sa Constituent Assembly.
That's
And
right.
changing the natural meaning of that section, Madam
correct.
Chair. So that's
And
the...
with all due
Yan yung
respect
flow,
to
yes.
Congressman Marcoleta, that's likely a subject of another hearing and another meeting, and perhaps a more confident and benign meeting of the minds at another time.
Madam Chair,
Right now, we acknowledge Senator Ontiveros once again, who has the floor.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I join with the Chair in the observation that she raised that the good representative is opening up a different issue. Gusto ko rin pong suportahan yung sinabi na ng Senate President that the rules of the Senate will allow our brave witnesses to speak their truth to the committee. Mas matapang pa nga sila kaysa sa mga nagtatago sa likod ng isang law firm. Ayaw aminin sino nagpamudmod ng forms. Ayaw aminin sino lathala ng isang TV commercial.
Madam Chair, dagdag lang ko konti, Madam Chair. I just would like to react to the statement of Attorney Rodante Marcolita. Congressman Marcolita. Kung sinabi po niya, Madam Chair, na siya ay nasasaktan dahil para bang alluded to yung buong lower house na sila ang nasa likuran nitong People's Initiative. Ako rin ay nasasaktan when he alluded the Senate as the opposition palagi dahilan kung bakit hindi natutuloy yung economic chacha. Ako po gusto ko iparating, Madam Chair, na in fact, during the last Congress, kami dalawa ni Senator Tolentino, nag-file kami ng resolution for economic chacha. And nagbabago po yung composition ng Senado at pareho na rin sa mga House, nagbabago rin yung composition. So hindi po rin masabi na kung nag-upos sila ngayon, mag-upos na yan forever. Nagbabago po. Kami po ni Senator Tolentino, nag-file naman ng resolution. Kaya masakit po sa amin kung sabihin niya, nilalahat niya na ang buong Senado ay ayaw sa chacha. Kami po, nag-propose. So, yun lang po. Gusto ko lang liwanagin, Madam Chair. Again, he is a good friend of mine, Congressman Marcolita. There's nothing personal about it. Gusto ko lang iparating sa kanya yung mensahe na kami po ay pro-chacha rin, lalong-lalo na pagdating sa economic reforms.
Madam Chair, we can simplify this. Maybe we can have a stipulation. Can the Senate stipulate that of all the initiatives taken by the House to engage you as a constituent assembly, all these initiatives have been refused. Wala pa tayong, hindi pa po tayo
Madam Chair, as Senate President, as the leader of this institution, I can categorically state that we have not refused any measures. As a matter of fact, I filed last week RBH 6, which is to discuss economic provisions of the Constitution. So,
only to change your mind 3 days later, Mr. Senate President.
did I ever say, for the record, did I ever say I am no longer pursuing this? Please cite the record that I said I will no longer pursue this.
Well, it's in
Yes.
the privileged speech I heard by one of you.
No. I'd like to
They're
correct misconception of my dear friend, Congressman Marcoleta. We are just fighting this PI first. Because this PI, this fake People's Initiative, is going to undermine the processes of voting during the discussions of constitutional change. Hindi po kami papayag na makapon ang Senado kasi mawawala po ang bicameralism that is stipulated 5 times in our Constitution and provides for the checks and balances of our institutions. Yun naman po. Wala po tayong pinag-aawayan kundi itong PI kasi alam mo, sa totoo lang, Madam Chair, we're veering away from the topic here. Yes. But really quickly, kung yung People's Initiative, kung ninagay po nila dyan, sino bang mga proponents dyan? Kung ninagay ng pirma dyan to amend the, for example, public services to allow 100% foreign ownership, sa tingin ko walang gulo eh. Pati sa amin walang aalma. Yun ay napakasimple. That is a right given by the Constitution. Pero hindi. It's a very simple question to vote as one, but it is full of hidden meaning, and it will open a Pandora's box that we can no longer come out from. So, yun lamang po, Madam Chair. I just want to vote for the record. We have not categorically said no to amendments to the Constitution. As a matter of fact, I met with the President and he said, let's discuss the economic provisions and stop this PI. He told me this yesterday, and I'm saying this for the record again. I gave that speech in Congress as a personal and collective privilege, but I'll say it again. The President said, stop this PI, it's getting out of hand, and focus on discussions on the floor on how we can improve the Constitution through the amendments to the economic provision.
Madam Chair.
Yun lang po.
Madam Chair, point of order.
Yes, thank you very much.
I listened intently to the distinguished chairperson when she enumerated the basis for this inquiry, which is basically PI. Well, I know this is a spirited debate that has been going on between the House and the Senate, and we have two excellent debaters here in the person of Congressman Marcoleta, Senator Bato, and SP Zubiri. This will have its proper time at another inquiry and meeting so that we can focus on the witness and also our
Resource.
numerous resource persons who took the time out to be with us this morning, with the indulgence, of course, of my dear colleague and friend, Congressman Marcoleta.
I agree, Madam Chair. So, ang tinatanong ko lang po na kung meron tayong ma-stipulate, sapagkat totoo naman hindi pa tayo nag-meet as a constituent assembly. That is a fact. From all the invitations we had given to the Senate, wala pa pong nangyari doon. Ito po
Well
yung
taken
totoo.
po. Pag-usapan natin.
So, maaaring ngayon po mangyari na. Pero ang sinasabi ko, for the longest time, the hands were extended to you to meet with us on a constituent assembly. Yung mag-usap lang tayo. And then
Marami
pag-usapan
po
natin
magpo-protesta
kung
dyan,
voting
pero hayaan na
separately
po natin
or
at
voting
bigyan natin
jointly.
ng ibang
But let
pagkakataon.
the process to proceed. Yung mag-meet lang tayo, napakaganda na po sigurong simula yun.
Thank you.
Mr. Senate President, Madam Chair.
Thank you po. Thank you, Congressman Marcoleta. Well taken. We will certainly consider that at the earliest possible opportunity. In the meantime, if you will allow me to proceed to the witness na nakapag-oath nung nasa kabilang kwarto.
Klaro po sa lahat. RB 6, the final ng Senate, they want to amend the economic provisions of the Constitution, authored by no less than the Senate President, authored by 2 other senators. So, the senators themselves are telling this country, our fellow Filipinos, na kailangan amendahan ang ating 37-year-old Constitution. The House of Representatives also is in agreement that we have to update that 37-year-old Constitution. So, medyo nagugulan lang ko bakit yung discussion papunta sa People's Initiative na parang gusto lang, bakbakan ng isang tao. Why don't we elevate the level of discussion? Sabi nyo, RBX 6, authored by the Senate President, to amend economic provision. Anong sabi ng House? Yes, we are with it. We are with you, our friends in the Senate, in amending the economic provisions of this 37-year-old Constitution. So bakit, simulan na natin yung discussion, bakit parang, ewan ko ba kung may political motive na to stonewall again? Why don't we start the discussion on those economic provisions in the 37-year-old Constitution that has to be amended so we can help this country? Doon na po tayo dapat mag-debate, hindi yung sino nagpatawag, sino nagpapirme. The People's Initiative probably would not have happened this year if all the former speakers, Speaker Belmonte, Speaker Bebot Alvarez, Speaker Velasco, sino pa, lahat ng mga speaker na dumaan had their proposal to update the 1987 Constitution, been heard, their proposals discussed, debated, and passed. Ulitin ko daming speaker dumaan. Ngayon, nandito na tayo with their Constituent Assembly. Natatanda na ko, second term ako congressman, Speaker Lord Velasco, RBX number 2, Constituent Assembly, voting separately, transmit ng House of Representatives under Speaker Velasco. Sa Senate, anong nangyari? Wala. Nangyari. Ngayon, last year, anong sabi ng Congress? Pakayan nila ng Constituent Assembly. Konkon natin. Binago. Last year, 302 authors. Constitutional Convention. Para wala ng senator, wala ng congressman, ang tao ang maghahalal ng kanilang konkon delegate. Last March pa, 302 authors. Strong stand from the House of Representatives transmitted to the Senate. 302 kami. Ito yung ang mas magandang proposal. Konkon na kasi wala kayong ginawa sa Constituent Assembly. Ano ngayon? January na. So you cannot blame people's groups who are already exasperated in waiting for the Senate and the House to come up with those very important updates to our Constitution. So, ako, ngayon, may appeal. Let's start the discussion on those economic provisions that has to be updated. Ngayon, if they fear, ito sabihin ko na, if their fear is the People's Initiative na hindi namin maintindihan bakit sila natatakot sa People's Initiative kasi wala na yung Senate pati yung mga congressman, tao na yon, there is only one sure way to stop that People's Initiative. And this I appeal to our friends in the Senate. You pass your RBH 6 and the House of Representatives will welcome it. You transmit it to us, we will welcome it with two open arms. Version nyo na. Kayo na bahala, magbalangkas kung anong version gusto nyo, anong economic provision. You pass RBH 6, the People's Initiative will be dead in the water because everyone knows there can never be two initiatives in the span of 5 years. Unahan na natin. We will be with the Senate. Ipasa nyo, version nyo. Kayo na, a-adapt na namin. Well, no questions asked. Diba? Sabi ni Speaker, maski blood compact pa. Sige, mag-blood compact tayo. Baka iniisip nyo kung ano-ano yung mga guni-guni ninyo. Blood compact tayo, ipasa natin. Kasi kailangan ng Pilipinas yan eh. To amend the economic provisions, we need to update the 37-year-old Constitution. You transmit it to us, we hold a plebiscite. O paano pa magpe-plebiscito yung People's Initiative? Patay na siya. Diba? How do you stop that? Unahan natin. Hindi pwede dalawang plebiscito in the span of 5 years. Ipasa ang Senate version, RBH 6, authored by the Senate President, the House of Representatives will adopt it. Sabi ni Speaker, blood compact pa. Para walang duda-duda na kung anong klaseng version pa. Version na nila, economic provision. So, by that, ang conclusion, patay yung People's Initiative. Unahan na natin. Magsama tayo, Senate and House, let us pass those amendments which our country badly needed.
Jo, I totally agree with you. No? Ang masasabi ko lang, pag pinasa po ng Senado ang RBH 6, I hope they do it with a sense of urgency. Pag nag-commit naman sila, sigurado naman tatrabahuhin sana nila. Hindi naman pwedeng sasabihin, magko-commit po kami, pero uupuan namin and we will take our time. There are times that we have to work with a sense of urgency, and this is one of them. Our country needs reforms, and we should work with a sense of urgency. And definitely, we should not operate with the dynamics of fear. Irrational fear is never a valid motive to deal with our job dito sa legislation.
Okay, i-add ko lang, ano yung urgency? Everybody knows. In each administration, if you embark on this kind of proposal, amending the Constitution, yung second half pala na yun eh. Kasi lahat is thinking of another administration. Everybody is in the mindset, if we would want to make this happen and not get left behind for another 6 years, we have to do it now. Kailan po yung now? Feb, March, bakit? Magpa-filing ng October eh. Lahat yan, busy na sa kampanya. Kung nabibisi nga sa investigasyon, what more for their national campaign? They will be embarking already, going around. So ano pa yung timeline natin? So we have to do it now. You don't do it July, August, September, because that is already the election fever. The election fever will be there already. So we pass it now. Active version na nga nila. Hindi na kami magkikipagdebate sa kanila. Ano yung mga economic provision na pinopose ni Senate President, authored by the other senators? Okay na, pasa nyo na. Gusto nyo, transmit na dito February, okay na kami. Para matapos na kasi medyo masakit yung mga akusasyon. Whether may politika dyan, we want to perpetuate, somebody wants to perpetuate himself in power. Nandun po yung version namin. RBH 6 namin, nandun po. Walang political dun eh. It's an open record. They can check the records of the Senate. It's open. They can check even previous Congress, RBH number 2. Economic po yun lahat. Walang political. So, let us not mislead the Filipino people. No? let us show to our country that we are one. Pass RBH 6, everything else will be dead in the water.
Yeah, and can I just add, no? I just feel a little bit slighted by some of the comments of our dear colleagues in the Senate. Alam mo, siguro kalahati sa kanila, I could be wrong no, with a specific number, used to be congressmen. And when they were congressmen, every speaker that ever sat in this August chamber fought for constitutional reform. They supported the position of the speaker when they were part of Congress. How come now, na senators na sila, all of a sudden, tumitenga yung constitutional reform? Nasa na yung posisyon nila nung congressman sila? Bakit nagbago? Ilang attempts na po ito ng 19th Congress? 302 congressmen sent RBH 6 to them. But yung measure ni Senator Padilla, hindi man lang umangat sa committee level. So I'm trying to digest now, is Senate really sincere with changing, improving, and upgrading our Constitution? Because if they are, then they should have done it. And, you know, itong mga fierce talks about power and politics, wala to. Wala to. Kasi kung talagang sincero sila, at ito, hindi lang Congress ang nagsabi nito. NEDA chief na nagsabi, we need economic reforms. DOF has stated, we need to lift restrictions. Even the foreign community group of investors, we need to improve the economic situation in our country by restricting foreign direct investments. What other evidence do we need? So now I think it's really up to the Senate to prove to the Filipino people that they are sincere and consistent with their position.